Yeah, okay, read from there. Read Bismillah. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. We are discussing the leftover water. If an animal drinks from the water. So briefly, thus far, if it's a halal animal, the flesh of the animal is halal, then it's halal for you to consume, like sheep, goat, rabbit, etc., etc. Then when it drinks from water, then it drinks from the water. Obviously, some of the saliva will mix with it, and when some of the saliva mix with it, because this is halal, intrinsically that meat is halal. Intrinsically, that meat is halal. Although it's not slaughtered as yet, right? It must be slaughtered, but the default ruling of that meat is halal, and that saliva comes from that meat, right? So that will be. Huh? Let me switch. Okay, let me switch. Let me switch over to MTN opponent. Okay, now. Okay, better now. Inshallah, everybody here, right? وصور الحيرات الطاهر supposed to be najis because the flesh is haram. But here they say وصور الحيرات الطاهر مكروه. The leftover of a cat, it's pure, but it is disliked. So what I mean is pure, but it's disliked. Technically speaking, if you make wudu with that water, if you make wudu, your wudu will be done. If that water touches your clothes, it will be done. But it is disliked. So if you've got other water, and I explained to you yesterday, if that thing ate from your food and you've got other food, like for example, like one is like a meat, you can wash it or something, but maybe it drank from a liquid, it drank from a ghee. So the whole ghee is contaminated now. Today, I told you this masa come in the besties here, etc. If the cat drank from the ghee, etc., and the ghee is liquid, then if Allah Ta'ala has blessed you, give it to some poor person, And but if it's a solid thing, then you can wash it. Or if the ghee is hard, وعن أبي يوسف أنه غير مكروه. Interesting. So I'll tell you uh, why we're saying it is makruh, because primarily the cat is a predatory animal, right? وعن أبي يوسف أنه غير مكروه. Um, According to Imam Yusuf rahimahullah ta'ala, it is permissible without any type of karahat. That was 100% halal, 100% permissible, right? Why? لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يصغي لها لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يصغي لها الإناء. That Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he was maybe making wudu or whatever, and a cat would come, you'd purposefully give the lower utensil, you'd make the utensil accessible to the cat. So he's saying, look, type of detestability, if there's any type of karahat, etc., then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wouldn't purposefully allow the cat to drink from there. Are you with me? So, فَتَشْرَبُ مِنْهُ, then you drink, ثُمَّ يَتَوَضَّعُ مِنْهَا, then Nabi Sallallahu make wudu from it after the cat drank. So this is a sign, right? وَلَهُمَا قَوْلُ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. Why do we say there's a problem? Nabi Sallallahu said, Al-hirratu sab'un. Nabi Sallallahu said that the cat is a predatory animal. What? You know, like it eat mice, it eat all that type of thing, etc. So obviously, if it's a predatory animal, what its meat, its flesh is haram. You cannot consume its flesh. So if its flesh is haram, automatically the leftover is also supposed to be what you call it, najis, right? But they say wal muradu bayanul hukmi. So when Nabi Sallallahu said that the cat is a predatory animal, he didn't want to teach you biology or zoology. He wasn't interested. He's trying to tell you that what he's trying to tell you, the hukam, the law of a cat is the same as the law of a predatory animal. You understand what I'm saying? This is similar to that mas'ala, you know, we done it mas'ala there. Al-aynanu min al-ra'si. That Nabi Sallallahu said that the ears is from the head. Nabi wasn't teaching us that we don't know is our ears, is our ears on our face or is our head. He's teaching us, look here, your ears is part of your head, so it comes in the same hukum of your head. When you make masa of your head, then you must make masa of the ears. That's why when you make masa of the head, after you pass you and you take your fingers and you put in your ears. So Nabi wasn't there to teach us anatomy or zoology. He's trying to tell us the law. So when Nabi said that a cat, when he said what? When he said al-hiratu sab'un is from the predatory animals, he's teaching us that like how, you know, you cannot eat a predatory animal because it consumes the flesh of other animals. So too, you cannot eat, you cannot consume a flesh because it eats rats, it eats mice, it eats little birds, etc., etc. Are you with me? So Nabi was teaching us that it is najis, right? But now the question comes about, okay, you saying that the cat is a predatory animal, its flesh is najis, you cannot consume it, etc., etc. Oh, sorry, its flesh is haram. Its flesh is haram. So because even if you store it, its flesh is still haram. So the leftover is supposed to be najis, right? So why do you say it's makruh? You say طاهر makruh. You say yes. This is the reason. إلا أنه سقطت النجاسة لعلة الطواف فبقيت الكراهة. So the law of najasat will drop off because of the reason of its abundant frequenting. So, but the degree of detestability will remain. So what he's saying here is, I know even if you go to Arab countries today, you'll see they love cats. They have a lot of cats. So if we're going to say, and now in previous days, obviously they didn't have taps like how we have, you know, you open the tap, the water come out. Water would be stored in buckets, whatever, in utensils, etc., whatever. So what they're saying is that to stop the cat from drinking the water will be very, very difficult. That means you have to seal off every bucket of water. You have to make it, and obviously a cat is a very agile animal, goes up anywhere. You see him on top of the tree, you see him on top of the cupboard. It will be very, very difficult to save the cat from all the waters, right? So uh, because of haraj, al haraju madfu'un, the difficulty will You're on again. Right. So I think if yeah, continue on again now, inshallah. So there is also a principle in Islam with al-haraju madfu'un when there's a great difficulty in something, then Shariat creates some type of leeway, Shariat creates some type of expense. So because now, as I said, it will be difficult to consider all at work with that water najis. There's also something in the Quran about this, isn't it? That you must, the verse in the Quran, you must seek permission before you enter the room. But for the slave and the children, they don't have to seek because it will be difficult to seek permission every time. You have some recollection of that verse? So same thing here. So if we're going to consider the leftover water of a cat as najis, there will be difficulty. So as I told you, that sometimes maybe the masla is not so relevant. But okay, this masla is very relevant because I know a lot of people they like cats. Lots of people, especially the ladies, they love the cats. They, sometimes when they don't have children, they keep the children, they treat the cats like their own children. And sometimes also maybe they're alone, so they have the cats in the house. So this masla is very, very relevant. And then besides the masla being very relevant, the usul behind it are also very, very relevant. So here we got a classical example where there is difficulty in something, and as a result of that difficulty, Sharia creates some type of leeway. Sharia creates some type of what you can say a latitude, right? So because, as I said, it will be difficult to consider najis. So technically speaking, strictly speaking, based upon the usul, the leftover a cat should of the cat should be najis. But because there's difficulty in considering najis, Shariat has created some type of latitude in the matter and said that if you've got other water, rather use the other water, right? Then, now we have to answer this hadith here, which um, which that who narrated, Imam Yusuf narrated that Nabi Sallallahu would purposefully lower, he would make accessible the utensil for the cat. So he said, وَمَا رَوَاهُ على ما قبل التحريم. This is based on before the possibility. Remember yesterday we also discussed this here that in the initial stages of Islam, carnivorous animals were not haram. That is why Nabi also you allowed them to use the leftover water of carnivorous animals for wudu, etc. Remember? So we say this year maybe Nabi Sallallahu would purposefully allow the cat to drink before Allah Ta'ala revealed that now predatory animals do nabi minas sibai, that the flesh is haram. So this is, we'll say now it is mansukh. Right? Are you with me? ثم قيل كراهة لحرمة اللحم. Then it is Kira, remember when you get Kira, it refers to a weak opinion. It has been said that karahatuhu, that like the detestability of, you remember, see, wasurul hirati tahirun makruhun. Why? So we're saying that it is not, technically speaking, according to this qawl here, that's what I explained now, that the leftover is not najis. But the only reason why we say it is makruh, because you cannot consume the flesh. So because the flesh is not permissible to consume, right? Like how we you know how we discussed earlier, the flesh it is haram. So when the flesh is haram, then obviously what? Uh, from there comes the saliva, and from there comes the perspiration. So naturally it follows that that will also be haram. Then وَقِيلَ لِعَدَمِ تَحَامِيهَا النَّجَاسَةَ. It has been said also, according to one opinion, and that because it does hama yahmi, to protect, because of its non-protection of najasa. There's a little translation, but what he's saying there, it does not protect, it does not stay away from najasa. That means what he's saying there is this, that a cat is not very, very careful. Like, if there's some najis there, there's a dead there, there's a dead bird there, it will go there, it will eat. So he doesn't keep. So likely there is najasat on his mouth, there is najasat on his whiskers, there is najasat on his tongue, etc., etc. And obviously, so in other words, what this is saying here is, it is not because of the flesh that is being haram, like all the other predatory animals. It is rather because of an external factor. You understood it? So if you look at the first one, ثُمَّ قِيلَ كَرَاهَةُ لِحُرْمَةِ اللَّحْمِ, that is because of a internal factor, right? And وَقِيلَ لِعَدَمِ تَحَامِيَ النَّجَاسَةِ, that's external factor. You saw the difference, right? You saw the difference, right? Um, ثم قيل قرأت right. وهذا يشير إلى التنزه. If you look at this second reason here, we say no, that intrinsically the flesh is not haram. It's not for that reason. It is just because of an external reason. Then يشير إلى التنزه. This points to the fact that it should be in the makruh tanzihi because it is because of an external factor. You understand what I'm saying? Not an internal factor. Well, awalu, and if you look at, we say that the karahat is because the flesh is haram. Then we say this point to what being makruh tahrimi because we know the flesh is outside completely haram. You understand what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. وهذا يشير إلى التنزه والأول إلى الأقرب من التحريم. And the first reason to say that we shouldn't be using this water because the flesh is haram, then this points to makruh tahrimi. Is that clear? I hope that's clear. You understood that clear, right? So the illat also plays a role in the type of what type of hurmat it is, makruh tahrimi or makruh tanzihi. Okay, read the next ibarat. Hamayah means to protect or to abstain. So in this context, it means it doesn't abstain from najasat. It's not careful about najasat, right? Yeah, in Urdu, yeah, in the Shara, they got for tahami bachna. Bachna means to abstain from something. Understood? So in other words, not careful, it's very negligent. Hamaya. Would you say to protect something hamaya means so it doesn't protect itself from the najasa? The first question is Arab and najasa? See, I don't understand the second question. If you can understand the first question, what's the first question? Or the Arab of najasa. Which one? You got saqatat najasa fadilat tawafi. Yeah, correct. So it is لعدم تحامي النجاسة. You know, sometimes the masdar comes in the meaning of a fail, ne? Sometimes the masdar come in the meaning of a fail. So here, this najasata is the maf'ul of this masdar here. Like you say, ضرب زيد أمرا. ضرب زيد أمرا. The hitting of Zaid to Amr. So many times the maf'ul also comes in the meaning of a it comes in the meaning of a fail. ضرب زيد أمرا. So same thing. لعدم تحامي النجاسة, right? Because of it not protecting itself from the najasat, right? So there, that I hope you got that. وهذا يشير إلى التنزه. So the second illat is not just such a strong illat because it's not intrinsic hurmat. It is an external factor, and when it's because it's an external factor, it's just makruh tanzihi. And if we're looking at the fact that the flesh is haram, that's an internal factor. That means the saliva comes from inside, which is haram, right? So that means it will point to مكروه تحريمي. So ولو أكلت الفأرة ثم شربت على فوره الماء يتنجس إلا إذا مكثت ساعة. So if the cat ate a rat ولو أكل الفأرة ثم شربت and he drank water immediately after it على فوره immediately الماء يتنجس, we'll say the water is najis إلا إذا مكثت ساعة, except that it delayed for a little while. Because if the cat ate the rat immediately, that means the traces of blood will still be there. So that means when he drank the water, the blood, the najasat went into the water. Like similar, I discussed this masla with you. I told you that if a human being's left over is spark, but you saw the man there, you saw him, he's drinking alcohol, or he got some najasat in his mouth, and immediately after he drank water, then you will say that water is najis because the najasat from the alcohol went into the water. So same thing here. The cat ate the rat immediately and after he drank from the water. So here there's no ikhtilaf to say that outrightly it is najis. You understood that? Illa idha makathat sa'atan. Right. So if the cat delayed a little while, لغسلها لِفَمَهَا بِلُعَابِهَا. Because obviously, a cat normally, when you see a cat, it's always preening itself, it's cleansing itself, it's licking itself. So, if after a few minutes, by then the cat would have licked up all the najasat, he would have swallowed the najasat. So there was izalatun najasa. Remember, I told you the main thing in the masla of najasa is that the najasa must disappear, no matter how it disappeared. So according to this qawl here, that if the cat delayed for a few, the cat delayed for a few minutes, it never got immediately and started drinking from the water. It delayed for a little while. Then after that, he drank the water. We'll say that now the water is parked. It has not been contaminated. Right? Right. So interesting here. What is this now? So what is this now? Ala madhab Abi Hanifa. Before we look at it, let me explain this. You see, Imam Abu Hanifa, etc., say that when there's something is afflicted with najis, there's no condition that water must flow off it for it to become park. So long as that najasat is removed, no matter what. Like if you got some najasat on your hand, this masla even comes in Pestis here. If you got najasat on your hand, you lick it up. Oh, it's not permissible to lick najasat, but you lick it up completely to such an extent there's no more traces of najasat. Your hand will become clean. Your hand will become park. So according to Imam Hanifa, the main thing is that the najasat must just be removed. But Imam Yusuf, remember, they said that the water must flow off something before it becomes park. So here, according to Imam Hanifa, it will be park. Why? Because the najasat has been removed. The najasat has been removed. They're saying, well, is this now this exception that what is being about that the delay, that the cat delayed a little bit. This is ala madhab Abi Hanifa. This is going to the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimallahu ta'ala. Right? Why? Because he say it's not necessary the water must flow off. Wa Abi Yusuf, right? According to Abu Yusuf, right? Is this now ala madhab Abi Hanifa or Abu Yusuf? ويسقط اعتبار الصب بالضرورة. So Imam Yusuf, so Imam Hanifa says sub is not necessary, but Imam Yusuf says normally sub is necessary. But in this instance here, he says sub is not necessary. Why? Because he says here there's a necessity. That look here, if we're going to say every time the cat drinks or eats something, a rat, then we have to go and wash the cat's mouth first, and then only the cat, when the cat drinks, then the water will be parked. There's a great difficulty in it. So we'll say here that under normal circumstances, sub is necessary, but yeah, sub is not necessary. It's not necessary that water must flow off the mouth of the cat, or the tongue of the cat, or the whiskers of the cat, in order for the water for the mouth to become parked. You understood that? So yes, sub is a condition according to Imam Yusuf, but here it drops off because of necessity. All right, is that clear? Okay, we'll stop there. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi.